Your credit card statement now reads like a survival gear manifest. You own a ferro rod, a lockpick set you've never practiced with, and a patch that just says SHTF. But there's a heavy panic sitting right beneath that pile of black nylon, because you know deep down you still don't have a manual can opener, and you're not less afraid, you're just more broke. The prepper YouTube economy isn't selling you safety. It's selling you an endless subscription to a low-grade disaster anxiety monetized through affiliate links. The lie is that readiness looks expensive and cinematic. It doesn't. It looks boring. Subscribe so you never miss this. Stay for number 6. The one that reveals the currency you've been told to hoard that will fail you first. Lie number 1. The bug-out fantasy. They have sold you a movie, your tactical backpack, and a solemn march into the deep woods while society burns behind you. It is a romantic image that makes them a fortune, selling ultralight tents and water filters to people living in studio apartments. Here is the raw physics of it. Unless a chemical plume or a rising flood is physically forcing you out of your front door, staying put is almost always your highest percentage survival play. Your home has shelter from hypothermia already built in. It has gravity-fed plumbing that might still hold 50 gallons of clean water in the tank. It has your spare clothes, your extra blankets, and neighbors who know you. Bugging out without a pre-stocked, defendable, fully owned destination 300 miles away is not an escape. It is becoming a refugee with a very expensive backpack. Keep a full tank of gas in your car at all times. That is real mobility, not a machete. The YouTubers don't sell hunkering down because a video on storing contractor bags for human waste gets 12 views. But that plastic bag keeps you alive infinitely better than the $400 Sub-Zero sleeping bag they just convinced you to buy with a discount code. Lie number 2. The battery addiction trap. Scroll through your favorite prepper channel and count the gadgets. Rechargeable flashlights, solar generators, tactical headsets with active noise cancellation. They frame lithium-ion power as infinite freedom, but it is a fragile tether. A lithium battery is a consumable chemical sandwich that degrades every single cycle. In a prolonged blackout, your $500 solar generator is just dead weight in 3 days if the sky stays overcast. They never mention the Carrington event or an EMP because that reality obliterates their entire affiliate storefront. The test is brutally simple. If an electromagnetic pulse popped, or the grid stayed dark for a month, what in your hand still serves you? A disposable lighter still sparks. A manual can opener still opens a can. A paperback book is still information. Most people have no way to cook food, see in the dark, or charge a phone if the wall outlet goes silent. They have gadgets, not tools. Tools don't need a software update. A crank radio is ugly and cheap. Buy it. Then, learn to just sit quietly in the dark without panicking, because silence wasn't sold to you. Lie number 3. The tactical performance. They want you to dress for a mission you will never run. Multicam pants, plate carriers with mallet webbing, going all the way down to your kidneys, morale patches. You look like a still frame from a raid video. Wrong answer. Anyone who has moved through a real civil breakdown in modern history will tell you the most survivable target profile is invisible. Walking through a crisis zone, looking like an off-duty contractor screams 2 things. I have stuff to steal, or I am a threat to neutralize. Neither ends well for you. The gray man theory wins. Not with flash, but with frictionless movement. You know what gets through a police checkpoint or a desperate crowd effortlessly? A dusty JanSport backpack and a tired look in your eyes. Not a $500 Go-Ruck bag covered in flag patches. The physics of threat detection is simple. The human eye is drawn to the silhouette of a weapon. Draw zero attention. Leave the tactical costumes in the algorithm where they belong. Spend the money on a pair of sturdy, broken-in, boring-looking work boots and a plain hoodie. Survival rewards the shape that no one bothered to remember. Lie number 4. Freeze-dried fetishism. The bucket is a masterpiece of marketing. 30 years shelf life. A smiling family on the label. $1,000 for a powder that tastes like salty regret. They have convinced an entire generation that survival eating means cracking open a space-age time capsule of stroganoff in the dark. Here's the reality check no one gives you. You do not need food that outlasts a mortgage. You need a deep pantry of calories you already know how to cook, and your stomach already knows how to digest. Introducing a radical dietary shift during a high-stress event is a recipe for gut rot. You cannot afford rice, dried beans, rolled oats, canned tuna packed in oil. These are not glamorous, but they rotate naturally through your kitchen. You buy what you eat what you buy. Most people with a $1,000 disaster bucket have no backup cooking fuel, and no manual can open her. The freeze-dried bucket is a psychological crutch, a monument to procrastination. 20 pounds of dried pinto beans costs less than a single bucket meal and keeps you fed for a month. Boring food that functions. That is the survival nutrition they cannot monetize with a flashy unboxing. Lie number 5. The medical cosplay kit. They sell you a flat black pouch stuffed with tourniquets, chest seals, and decompression needles. It looks lethal on a belt. It gets views. The catastrophic lie is that possessing the gear is the same thing as possessing the skill. It is not. A combat tourniquet in untrained hands is more likely to cause permanent nerve damage or be applied so loosely it fails to stop the bleed. Tension pneumothorax is not solved by watching a 2-minute YouTube short. It is solved by knowing the precise landmark on the ribs and drilling it until your fingers find it in zero visibility. Most people's IFAK is still wrapped in factory plastic. They are not ready. They are a collector. The most dangerous wound in a real survival scenario is not a gunshot. It is a deep laceration from broken glass or a burn from an improvised cooking fire. The preparation they never market is a stop-the-bleed course. It costs $20 or is completely free. You get to practice packing a wound with gauze on a dummy limb until your hands shake. Then you do it again. That training is deeply uncinematic. It is also the only thing that saves a life when the zipper on the pouch snags and your fingers are slick with blood. Tape and a clean plastic sheet that seals a sucking chest wound. The expensive patch never used is just a receipt for your own fear. Lie number 6. Gold and silver will save you. The final and most seductive lie. They show you a shimmering stack of coins in a dark room, whispering about the collapse of fiat currency. The image implies that in the worst-case scenario, your silver dime becomes a seat at a table that has none. This betrays a fundamental misunderstanding of a localized supply chain collapse. Real barter does not run on intrinsic value. It runs on immediate utility. If the trucks stop rolling and the shelves are bare, walk next door and offer a 1-ounce silver coin for your neighbor's last bottle of amoxicillin or their 5-gallon water jug. They will look at the metal and see nothing but a shiny rock. They cannot eat it. They cannot disinfect with it. They cannot pour it into a radiator. The real hard currencies of a grid-down world are vices. Vices that hold psychological power and consumables that run out. A disposable lighter, a sealed bottle of whiskey, a pack of AA batteries, coffee, a full can of gasoline. These are the items a desperate person will trade their last resource for when the night is cold and their stomach is empty. Most people are stacking a hedge against a theoretical currency collapse but have 0 spare tampons and no extra light bulbs. Stop hoarding a Dark Ages fantasy medal. Hoard the things that make this life run right now. Because in the dark, nobody cares about your portfolio. The truth they will never package in Molly webbing is that survival does not reward the fanciest gear. It rewards reliability. It rewards the manual can opener, the spare tube of antibiotic ointment, the dusty light bulb stash in the closet. The opposite of fragility is not aggressiveness. It's elegant, boring redundancy. The most dangerous person in a real disaster is not the one with a plate carrier and 1,000 rounds. It's the one who saw this coming early, who built a deep pantry in silence, who can start a fire with a $3 lighter and patch a wound without panicking. That is the panic gap closed, not with money, with method. So drop a comment right now and tell me this. What is the single most useless piece of prepper gear you bought before you knew better? I need to see what the algorithm talked you into, and in the next video, we are leaving the gear behind completely. I am walking you through a no-budget deep pantry build that costs less than one freeze-dried bucket and actually tastes like food. I'll see you there.